Okay, so he plays this song in drop D tuning, which is where you tune the guitar standard and then tune the low sixth string down to D. So it's D, A, D, G, B, E. And then he puts capo on the second fret. Okay. So it's actually in the key of E then, with the capo on the second fret. Sort of an E minor Dorian type of scale. Okay. Now I used to play this song as an introduction to when he had like a solo set to a song called That's Life, which he only ever used to really play live by himself, and also to Hello. So there's some recordings of these. I'll put them in the description below, and they're worth checking out because they're quite different to the album version, but they're the same riffs, and he just sort of changes them up and improvises around them. So it's interesting to hear that. There's only one live version on YouTube where you can see him play this song. So from that, we can sort of work out the fingerings he uses, especially on the right hand, which I put in the tab. The rhythm for the song is a triplet feel. So you can see on the tab that there in each bar, there's 4 main beats. So it's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. But there's 2 smaller beats after each main beat. Okay? And on these beats you count and So it'd be 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. Okay? Similar to the feel that he has in Ocean. And in fact, in a lot of ways, this song is very similar to Ocean in terms of the right hand picking patterns of going up and down strings and the hammer-ons and the pull-offs, and in the triplet feel. It's just in a different key. It's in like a minor sort of Dorian key instead of a happy major key like Ocean. Okay. Okay, let's start with section A, which is the main riff of the song. It's bars 1 and 2 on the tablature. Played slowly. There's a bass note sort of before bar 1 begins. So bar 1 would begin like this. So that's bar 1 and 2, and you can keep looping those over and over again once you have them down. So it starts off with that low bass string, and then he uses, according to the sort of one video that I've seen on YouTube, he uses his index and his middle and his ring finger to do like a rake on the 4th string, the 3rd string, and the 2nd string. Okay, he's fretting with this hand the first fret. I'll say the 1st fret, even though the capo is on the 2nd fret, and it's actually the 3rd. Relative to the capo, it's the 1st. So after he rakes those strings, which is just sort of plucking each string one after the other quickly. Okay, you can sort of put all your fingers of your right hand on those 3 strings and pull off one by one. After he does that, he hammers on to the 3rd fret on the 2nd string. Okay? So that happens on beat 1. 1. Okay? So after that, you take that finger off and you just pluck that 2nd string again. Okay, still fretting at the 1st fret and still with using your ring finger. After that, you hit the 3rd string at the 2nd fret with your middle finger on your right hand. Okay, and that note there falls on the second beat of the measure. So it's 1 and 2, 1 and a 2, 1 and a 2. Okay. Okay. So after that, you're sort of holding this the whole time, but you take off your second finger of your left hand, okay, and you pluck an open third string, open G string, okay, with your middle finger there. And then after that, you hit the fourth string, okay, with your index finger of your right hand, and you're fretting it at the third fret. Okay, and that happens on the third beat of the measure. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1 and a 2 and a 3. Okay, so that's the first bit of that bar. Okay. Then he hits the open third string, okay, middle finger. Then right after that, hit it again with a bass note, okay, low 6-string bass note, and pull off from the second fret to open. So it's like, so your middle finger of your right hand is plucking that very quickly, okay? Then right after that, again, the third fret, okay, on the fourth string. Into bar 2. So for that third fret note, use your middle finger. He uses his middle finger. And then for the beginning of bar 2, he's got another pull off, this time from the fourth string, second fret, with a bass note as well. Okay. So let's play what we have so far up to that point. Okay. After that, he plucks an open fifth string with his index finger. And then he does a hammer on and a pull off on the fourth string on the second fret. Okay, plucks it initially with his middle finger. Hammer on, pull off. And then again, third fret, but fifth string this time with that third finger of the left hand. Okay. And then to finish off bar 2, you hit an open fourth string with your middle finger of your right hand right before the fourth beat of that bar where you hit a lower 6 string. Okay, so bar 2 slowly would be so that's bars 1 and 2. Now that's like, that licks you so much throughout the song. It's worth getting that down, taking your time getting that down. Once you play that, you know, that, I mean, that's probably one of the hardest lick in the song. No other lick is harder than that one. So really take your time and make sure you're playing it on the right beats. So let's loop bars 1 and 2 slowly, tapping our foot on the main beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. That the sort of order of pull-offs and knowing when to pick a note and then pull off as opposed to hammering on and pulling off is important to get the sort of the right feel. Like you could do that all with just hammer-ons and pull-offs, but it wouldn't have the same sort of drive, the same feel. So that's measures 1 and 2. Section A, we'll call it lick A. So once you know that, lick B is very similar, only it finishes differently. So lick B is measures 3 and 4. Measures 3 is exactly the same as measure 1. But then measure 4 is a bit different to measure 2, okay? So in measure 4, there's a series of hammer-ons and pull-offs. You pluck the third string with your middle finger, and then you hammer on and pull off on the 2nd fret. So after one hammer on and pull off, then you just do a pull off. So it's okay. And then you hit a low bass note, and then you hit that 1st fret 2nd string again. Okay. Now he uses his ring finger on his right hand for that. It's like he's assigned a finger for each string and he sticks with it. But I like to use my middle finger. Just it feels a bit more sort of natural for me. So whatever suits you best. But I've put his fingering on the tab. Okay. And then to finish it, another little open string lick, 3rd string and 6th string. Okay. So pay attention to which notes fall on the main beats. So let's go through 3 and 4, tapping on the main beats slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's lick B, very similar to lick A. And then, as you can see on the tab, after riff B, he plays riff A again, then he plays B again, then B again, and that's when the drums and everything come in, then A, then B, then A, and at the end of that run through of A, he goes to the next riff, to riff C. But to get to riff C, to get to bar 5, you have to cut short the previous measure. Okay? So playing riff A to get into riff C, he cuts short 1 beat. So instead of he goes and that's where he starts riff C. Okay. So basically, the first beat of measure 5 is like beat 4 of measure 2, if that makes sense. So instead of playing beat 4, you go straight to beat 1 of measure 5. Bars 5 and 6, riff C, played slowly, go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it starts off on the first beat with a hammer on from the 5th fret to the 7th fret on the 3rd string. And you can use your thumb and your index finger. So you pluck a bass note at the same time. And then after that, you fret the 5th fret and with your middle finger pluck the 2nd string and you do a hammer on pull off to the 6th fret. Now, you hammer on to the 6 on beat number 2. 1, 2. Okay. Then after that, you keep your finger on that 5th fret 2nd string, and then with your index finger, so you did the hammer on with your middle finger. So that middle finger stays with the 6th string, the 2nd string for the rest of the lick, and the index finger stays with the 3rd string for the rest of the lick. Okay? And they just sort of alternate, sort of walk back and forth. Okay? So you hit the open G string after the first hammer on pull off. Then after you hit it, you do another hammer on pull off. And then you sort of end on the 7th fret, okay? Using your 3rd finger of your left hand. And those 2 fingers to pluck the strings. So you can just loop bar 5 to make sure you have it down. 1, 2, 3, 4. The first hammer on of the bar it's sort of one note as opposed to, but you could easily do it that way. So you could play it, but he actually goes, okay? So it doesn't really matter which one you do, but it's sort of, it falls on the same beat as opposed to being two different counts, okay? So after bar 5, bar 6 is pretty much exactly the same, only it ends with a high note on the 1st string at the 8th fret, okay? So, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. So he uses his ring finger on his right hand to pluck that, okay? And you can use your pinky on your left hand. Measure 7, pretty much exactly the same as measure 5. Okay, there's sort of a brief little open note on that 2nd string, but just as like a lead in to the next beat. You don't have to play it, but I could hear it on the record. And then measure 8 is pretty much exactly the same. Measure 9 is again the same, only you end on a different place. Okay, so 8th fret, but 2nd string this time, and I've put in another bass note. So essentially, the bass rhythm is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, as opposed to on every beat or only on the first beat. 2, 3. Okay, so. So that's measure 10. the same as before, but again, a different finishing point. He finishes here on the 5th fret, 1st string, okay? And get your ring finger. And then measure 11 is the last part of Riff C, okay? These are all like Riff C, and you can chop and change them however you want with all these little different variations on the end. Essentially, it's the same riff. So the last part of Riff C, measure 11, goes 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is probably the hardest one, but it's just a matter of following all those hammer-ons and pull-offs, okay? So it starts the same. And then for the 4th beat of measure 11, you pull off from 6 to 5, 6th fret to 5th fret on the 2nd string with a bass note. Sorry. And then right after that, you pluck the 8th fret, okay? And then after that, you again pull off from 6 to 5, okay, for the 1st beat of measure 12. So it's like, and that finger can just stay there on 5 the whole time. So from measure 11, so bar 12, we've got that pull off from 6 to 5 on the 2nd string, and then we throw in an open 3rd string using your index finger just to keep it going, to have a note on every count. Okay. So after that, there's a hammer and pull off. 5 to 6, back to 5, okay, on the 2nd string again. Then just a pull off from 6 to 5. Okay, so it's like, so this is a good example of, like, you could just hammer and pull off all of that. You could just go, but it sounds better and more, it has more drive if you don't pull off on the 2nd time. I mean, if you don't hammer off. So hammer, pull off, and then strike the string again and pull off. As opposed to, okay, it's a small detail, but you might as well do it that way if you can. So after that, then another hammer on the 3rd string, pluck it with your index finger, and then sort of as you're changing positions to get ready for the next riff, Riff D, he sort of hits an open string. So measure 11 and 12 on loop would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't worry too much about those bass notes. If you don't play them, that's fine, as long as you hit all those hammer-ons and pull-offs in the right order. Okay, let's go on to the next riff. So Riff D, bar 13 and 14, played slowly, goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, bar 13, we'll just do bar 13 first. Starts off with a hammer on from 8 to 10. Okay. And he uses his ring finger on the right hand. So remember, we've just come from bar 12, which finishes like this. Bar 12 goes. So you can use that open note while you move your left hand. Now I hit from 8 to 10. I'm also fretting the second string at 8, because if you accidentally hit that string, you want to hit it at 8 and not open. You don't want to do that. You want to go. But you're just hitting the high and the low strings, and then hammering on to the 10th fret, and then remove that finger and hit the 8th fret, and then you're hitting the 10th fret on the second string. Okay. Then 8th fret, and you're using your middle finger all the time on this string, and again ring finger all the time on the high E string. Okay. So then there's a pull off from 10 to 8. Then there's an open third string. And then after that, there's another, you hit the 8th fret and hammer on and pull off again. Okay? So you could just loop even that. That's beats 2 and 4. Sorry. Okay. To make sure you get those hammer-ons and pull-offs. And then for measure, so that was measure 13. Now measure 14. Okay. This is sort of a weird little riff, but it starts off on the 10th fret on the 3rd string, and then after that you hit, okay, again you're rolling these two fingers, so you got the index finger for that string, and then your middle finger for the 2nd string, which is on the 8th fret. Okay, and then back to the 3rd string, but you hit 9 now and pull off to open. So it's, then after you pull off open, then you use your middle finger of your right hand to come up, and now you hit the open string again. Then you use your index finger and hit it again and hammer on and pull off the 9th fret again. And then end with the 10th fret on the 4th string. Okay, so it's like, so best way to think of it is just on the fingers on this hand just keep sort of alternating. Okay, so let's play 13 and 14 slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's pretty tricky. That's probably one of the other hardest riffs of the song, Riff D. Okay, you just got to start slowly and then build your way up to speed. the rest of that line, for bars 15 and 16, it's basically the same for the first bit. Until the end. So for measure 16, you pull off from 10 to 8, then open third string, then another hammer-on pull-off from 8 to 10 on the second string. Okay. And then it does a very quick sort of slur from the 11th fret down to 10. And then he hits the 10th fret very quickly, pulls off and hammers back on again. Okay, so it's if that's a bit too tricky, and it is tricky to do fast, you don't need to worry about that bit. You can just go. You can just skip the whole thing, or you can bend it. It's up to you. Then measures 17 and 18 are just like 13, 14. Same one, that's done. And then 19 and 20, pretty much exactly like 15 and 16. It just sort of ends simply on the 10th fret of the second string. And then you hit another bass note on the beats. And we're heading now to Riff E, bar 21. Bar 21, played slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it starts off again like the sort of, it should be getting familiar now, the sort of picking patterns. They changed location and strings, but the sort of pattern of the two fingers of the two hands is sort of the same. So instead of going like, now we're going. It's sort of like the same thing, only in a different place. Okay, so hammer on from 5 to 7 on the 4th string, along with a bass note. And again, now we're assigning the index finger to the 4th string, the middle finger of the right hand to the 3rd string. Okay, so hammer on, and then on the 3rd string, pluck the 5th fret and hammer on and off from the 7th. Then an open 4th string. Then another hammer on and pull off. See, very similar to. And then to finish off that bar, he sort of does, he strikes the strings, he mutes the strings, comes down on them on the last beat. And then he comes up on the open G string to get ready to have another go around in measure 22. And then measure 22, it's the same lick, only he ends with a with a note on, he ends with that root note on the third string. So 21 and 22 then in a loop. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's pretty much all of Riff E. Just sort of slight little variations, mainly on how he ends each bar. So bar 23, okay, end on the 7th fret, 4th string. Then bar 22, okay, he ends with open strings. 1, 2, 3, 4. Open low 6th string, then comes up again with the open 3rd string just before he starts another one. Okay, and then bar 25, 26. Okay, that's the same as bar 22, then bar 27. Same as bar 23, then bar 28. Okay, very similar. Bar 29, the same. Bar 30. So bar 30 is a bit different. Bar 30 is the lead-in to the sort of strumming section. So bar 30 starts off the same way. But then at that point, at beat 3, 1, 2, 3, after that, so after hitting the 5th string, the 5th fret on the 3rd string, he hammers on to the 7th fret, 4th string, and then hits that again as he starts strumming. Okay, so this is a little bit tricky, but very slowly it goes. And then it's going to go into the strumming bit. Hammer on. And then I go up, down, up. Transition into onto the next page for the strumming bit. Hammer on, then up, up, down, up. So that brings us to the first bar of first beat of bar 33. All right, lick F is the strumming part. It's pretty straightforward with your left hand. The tricky bit is with your right hand. So with your left hand, it's basically just fretting the 2nd fret, okay? And then muting the rest of the strings, the high strings, okay? So you're just fretting on the 3rd string, and you're fretting the high ones. So all you're really ringing out are 4 strings. And 4, 4th fret, 5th fret, 4th, then open, but still muting those strings. So the right hand strumming pattern is the trickiest thing here. You just got to follow the tab sort of exactly, and it's all about when you start muting what you're playing. So without muting, with muting, use these fingers and just sort of rest them on the strings, so that when you strum, it just gives that sound. So I'm strumming with, on my right hand, with sort of on the downstroke with the back of my middle finger, and then on the upstroke with the back of my thumb. You can strum however you want though. He strums with just one finger, his index finger, because he has a massive nail, acrylic nail. He just uses it as a pick. And he just will strum like that. But if you don't have that, you can do it like this. You just got to keep your wrist and your hand sort of loose. Okay. So the rhythm is basically just up, down, like down, up, down, up, down, up. With sort of an accent. On 1 and 3, on beats 1 and 3. 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. Okay, so practice that, and then we can go through when he mutes and when he doesn't mute. So first, with no mute, okay, so do that and then keep going, but then you mute. And you put the accent on the third beat. So very slowly. And at the very end of the measure, you unmute and still you're just holding it at the second fret, and you play up, down, up. So very slowly. Okay, then after that, the exact same pattern, but you go up to 4 and do the exact same thing at 4. So once you have down measure 33, it's the exact same rhythm, but you just move your finger up and down, okay, as you can see on the tab. Okay, so it is kind of tricky, that rhythm. So just focus on doing it correctly in measure 3 before you start moving up the fretboard, okay, for the rest of the bars. Okay, so I'll do measures 33 to 36 then. Okay, so the last bit is open, so you sort of have to, with this finger, just sort of hold those 2 strings so that they don't ring out and only the open G string rings out. Alternatively, you can hit the 5th fret on the 4th string for the same note. It's the same one, so you can either go from 4 to open, or from 4 there on the 3rd fret to 5 on the 4th fret. Okay. Then measure 37 to 40, so the next line, is the exact same rhythm, only we add in this high note here to ring out. So the chord shapes would be here. For when you play 2, you can use this finger to play the high note there. Then when you go to 4, okay, use this finger to hit 4, and then that finger hits the high one. Then 5, back to 4, then open. Alternatively, you can just use the second finger to to hit that and keep it there the whole time. And use that finger for 2, that finger for 4, that finger for 5, that finger for 4 again. I like this way a bit better, okay? So that section 37 to 40, the exact same rhythm. So again, just make sure you've got that rhythm down at the beginning of the first part of this section. So it'd be when you mute and everything doesn't really matter as long as you get the main rhythm, which is those accents. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. So mainly get those accents on 1 and 3. Okay. So at the end, so you repeat those that whole line twice, okay? So you repeat measures 33 to 36 twice, then you repeat 37 to 40 twice. And then that brings us to, we're on the home stretch now, to lick G, which is measure 41, okay? So after the strumming, straight in to this lick. So for this lick, for measure 40, you want to be holding almost a full D chord shape, which you probably know, but without that finger. So you're really only fretting the 3rd and the 2nd strings. Okay, so you hold that shape, and then the pattern with your right hand repeats itself throughout this section. So we just got to get it right the first time. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So you can see on the tab, it's basically just 2 bass notes, 2 G notes, then bass, then 2nd string, bass, 2nd string, then 3rd string again. Okay. And it has that sort of bouncy feel. Sorry. So pay close attention to the tab there of when to hit each note. Basically, there's like, you sort of hit notes to precede the notes that fall on the main beat. So 1, 2. And so basically, there's a couple of variations. Either you go or you go. So you can see in measure 41 and 42, slightly different, but basically the same thing. It's basically the same sort of bouncy rhythm with the right hand. You just sort of hit a different string on beat number 2. Okay, so instead of going, you can go. So there's a whole bunch of variations. I've put on the tab what he plays, what I can hear in the song, because he's going pretty fast. And he's not really thinking about exactly which way he's doing it. He's just thinking about the bouncy rhythm. So the bouncy rhythm, okay, is all in the right hand. So just practice getting that feel, regardless of what strings you hit, high strings you hit. Okay. So at the end of that line for bar 44, he goes, sorry. So it starts off hitting the 5th string open, hammering on the 3rd fret, and that's on the main 1 beat. And then right after that hammer on, he strikes up with his middle finger on the 2nd string, and you're still holding that note. That doesn't really move, okay? One and a 2, 1 and a 2 and a 3. Okay. So there's a note on every count. So hammer on, then pluck that note, then another hammer on the 4th string, and again pluck that right after. And I'm doing these hammer-ons with my thumb on my right hand. Now there's no hammer-on there, but it's the same sort of feel. So he hits that on beat number 3, open 3rd string. And instead of a hammer-on, he just leaves it and then comes again up on that 3rd fret, 2nd string. And he finishes with 2nd fret, 4th string. And then again after that, he hits that same note. So that note there precedes the main beats. So let's loop 43 and 44 slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoops. And then 45, 48, very similar. Sorry, 45 and 46. Oops. Sorry, 45, 46. So 45 and 46. Very similar feel, just very slight variations. You don't need to worry about those. You can just come up with one pattern and just keep playing that over and over. And then 47 and 48. More of these hammer-ons. The same feel as in 44. Hammer on the 3rd from the open string on string 5. Then hammer on 2 on the 4th string. Then hammer from 2 to 3. Then 0 to 2. Then 2 to 3. Then nothing to 2 again. Then open, and then end on the 3rd fret, 5th string. So practice that on loop, and again always doing that, right before every beat. 53 to 54, same as before. Then 55, 56, very similar to 51 and 52. It goes high again. Hammer on to 2 on the 3rd string, then 2 to 3 on the same string, then open to 2 again, then open, then 3rd fret on the 4th string. Okay. And then after that, you add a beat and you hit the low 6th string on it, and then the next beat is the first beat of measure 57, and that's Riff B again, exactly like we learned at the beginning, Riff B. So I'll do 53, bar 53 to 56, and then into Riff B again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So then, home stretch now. 57 to 58 is just Riff B. Then Riff A. Then we've got Riff B again from measures 61 and 62. But with a slight variation there. So on the 3rd beat of measure 62, instead of the 1st fret, you just fret the 3rd fret. So instead of, it's, okay, just slight little variation there. Then measures 63 and 64 are, is Riff A again. But you skip a beat. So for beat number 4, you actually are playing beat number 1 of the next riff, of the last section. Okay? So I'll play measures 63 and 64 going into the next riff, okay? And then that's the first bit of the next riff. So let's do that. Next page, last page, Riff H, 65, measure 65 is... Firstly, you hammer on from 3 to 5 on the 5th string. And I don't think he plays it on the record, but in the live version on YouTube, I think he plays a bass note there. Okay, and because you don't have the band to play along with, I threw that in. So it's hammer on, and then this is a similar sort of pattern as we've seen before. Use your index for the 5th string, and then your middle finger for the 4th string. So after that hammer on to 5, you hit an open 4th string, and then hammer on and pull off on the 2nd fret. Then an open 5th string again. Then a open fourth with a hammer on pull off, and then end on 3rd fret 5, 5th string, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Similar to, or so once you can do one, you can pretty much do all of them. They're all the same. It's just different locations on the fretboard. Okay, so now he does it fast. Got to work up to get the speed. 1, 2, 3, 4. So measure 66 is exactly the same, only he ends on the 5th fret, 4th string, instead of here. And then measure 67 starts off the same way, but then, okay, we've got another pull off, go from 2 on the 4th string, open, and I throw in a bass note there just to keep that bass going. Then you hit the 3rd fret, okay, 4th string, and then another pull off from 2 with a bass note. And again, it's not just all hammer-ons and pull-offs. It's not. It's okay. Then index finger hits that open 5th string. And then you, with your middle finger, open 4th string, hammer on, pull off, then pull off from 2 to open. Again, it's not just all pull-offs or in hammer-ons. You could do it like that, or you could go, okay. Then open 5th string and end on the 3rd fret with a hammer on. So let's do that whole line, 65 to 68. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 69 is exactly the same as 65. 70 is the same as 66. Only instead of landing on the 5th fret, 4th string, it's 5th fret, 3rd string. And then 71 to 72, the last 2 bars, are the same as 67 and 68. The only difference being at the very end, instead of finishing with the hammer on the 3rd fret of the 5th string, okay, you just hit an open 5th string, and then instead of hammering 3, you just hit like a D chord. Okay, not a major chord. This sort of chord. So that's it's pretty tricky, but it's the same, again, the same sort of pattern as previously, only now it's on these low strings, and you play it sort of, as fast as you can, and that's that. And that's the song. So you can chop and change all those riffs however you like. Check out the live version that he plays. I'll put links in the description, and then you can start messing around and making up your own version. Okay, thanks.